Hello everyone and welcome to Unscripted, the videos, the YouTube channel, where we upload videos and podcasts. This week, we're coming at you with an honest opinion about Spider-Man 3. We recently had the opportunity, and by recently I mean like 3 weeks ago.
It's recent enough.
Yeah. We had the opportunity to go see Spider-Man 3 in theaters. And,
It was something.
well, to put it shortly for you, in one word, Spider-Man 3, no. We recently watched it again to take notes on what we should have taken notes on in the theater. I mean, we just finished watching it.
Like 10 minutes ago.
Yep. So, we're here to share our honest opinion about Spider-Man 3 with you. I can start with a brief history. When movies first started, they had opening credits. However, in those opening credits, in every old movie I've watched, the opening credits are not nearly as long as the opening credits of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 had really long opening credits. And don't get me wrong, how they did the opening credits was really cool. I thought, like, swinging through the spider webs and, like, breaking open a spider web, I thought that was cool. But it was so long and so draining. And we skipped most of it.
Also, we did a little bit of research while watching the movie.
Because we're paying attention, but at the same time, we're not. Because
at the same time, I have questions that I don't know the answers to, because have I read the Spider-Man comics? No, I have not. Do I want to? I do. But do I have the time or
no?
So going off of that, we did a little bit of research to figure out just how old Spider-Man should be in Spider-Man 3. In Spider-Man 1, he was he was in high school.
He was still in high school, so he was 17, 18, because he was, like, on the verge of graduating.
Mm-hmm. In Spider-Man 2, he was between the ages of 19 and 22.
20. Yeah.
In Spider-Man 4, he's supposed to be between the ages of 22
Spider-Man
and 24.
3.
Spider-Man 3. What did I say?
You said Spider-Man 4.
Oh, in Spider-Man 3, he's between the ages of 22 and 24. And don't get me wrong, I understand that Tobey Maguire has been playing Spider-Man for all 3 of these movies, and it's unreasonable to have to recast someone, but they could have at least tried to make him look a little bit younger.
He was 31 during the filming of Spider-Man 3, and it is obvious that he is 31 and not a 24-year-old college student.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, love Tobey Maguire. He is a great actor, except for in this movie. It was just hard to picture him as a 22, 23, 24-year-old. And compared to, like, Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland's Spider-Man's, like, you can tell they are supposed to be playing those ages. And it's just specifically the third one, it does not look like he's playing the correct age. Which he's not.
And it's normal to cast people who are older than the character is, much
is.
older than the character is. I get that. I understand that. I really do. But they could have tried to make him look a little bit younger.
They could have done something.
The facial expressions, they suck.
They suck.
We did not like them. We made several comments about that during the movie. Why is he making that face?
Especially, again, James Franco. Sir, what are you doing with your face?
I feel like they were just making their facial expressions were too big to be seen on camera.
Yes.
They were making facial expressions that I feel like are better suited for a stage than they are for a camera. Let's talk a little bit about Spider-Man and Mary Jane's romantic relationship. Let's start with a specific scene, okay? There's a scene where they're in the middle of a forest and they're sitting in a spider web. How romantic is that? Sitting in a spider web.
How cute.
Isn't it everything you've ever dreamed of?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And I loved the part of it where I'm just staring at them the entire time while they're just like...
I felt like that was a little awkward and I was third wheeling them.
So more about their relationship really fast. There's so many misunderstandings in this relationship.
Let's start with red flags.
Red flags.
Tell me you love me.
Tell me you love me.
I'm not holding you hostage, but do you love me?
Do you love me? That's what it felt like. That Mary Jane was holding a gun to Peter saying, tell me you love me. Good, healthy relationship. You should be able to just look at each other and be like, I do love you, and know that they love you. It was just so weird to witness.
It was really weird to witness.
Especially because at this point in the movie, we haven't seen a lot of their relationship yet. And we've seen the relationship from past movies, the other two movies. I don't remember much about it because I haven't seen it in so long. From what I could remember, it's always been very healthy relationships, and it hasn't shown anything really bad.
Really up until this point.
Really up until this point, and then out of nowhere she's like, tell me you love me.
Side note, when they ride away on his silly little bike, he looks really stupid.
The helmet
in the red helmet
does not work.
Mary Jane looks great.
Mary Jane looks great.
He just looks absolutely ridiculous
Yeah.
in the helmet. Also, I made a comment about his bike. You know when you're kids and you got a playing card or you got a soda can and you put the playing card up against the spokes of the bike wheel or the can on top of the wheel, and then you ride away and it sounds like you're on a motorized bike. That's what it sounded like they did. Affordable and really funny.
Throughout the whole movie, I wrote this down later, but Mary Jane blamed a lot of their problems on Peter, which, yes, a lot of the problems
Except you wrote Gwen, not Mary Jane. Despite what's written, she means MJ, not Gwen.
MJ blamed a lot of their relationship on Peter, which, yes, like in this movie, he had a lot of problems and he caused a lot of the problems in the relationship. But she also caused a little bit of the problems as well, because she wasn't communicative. She always expected Peter to know exactly what she's feeling.
Read my mind.
Yeah, and she wanted him to read her mind, and he can't. She just needed to be a little more open with how she's feeling. And
but at the same time, he always finds a way to bring everything back to him being Spider-Man.
Exactly, which is
I'm
why
Spider-Man.
Which
Remember,
is why
I'm Spider-Man.
I'm like, yes, he caused the majority of the problems, but she wasn't. She also caused a little bit of the problems, which was she wasn't being communicative.
He's really, really cocky in this movie. See, the difference between Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland's Spider-Man is Andrew and Tom as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, they were humbled and knocked down a notch.
Very early in their
Very early. Before they could even reach the point of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3. He needed the slap in the face that he got in this movie.
And he got slapped in the face a lot in the movie, and he deserved every single one, but it wasn't a big enough slap in the face where for Spider-Man 4, I feel like he still would have been kind of cocky. And I feel like he didn't actually get the slap in the face.
He would need another slap in the face.
Yeah, but I feel like he needed to experience something like how Andrew did, where he lost Gwen, and then how Tom did, where like he lost everyone. But let's just move on a little bit. We'll get more back to the talk. We'll probably bring the toxic couple back up again. But another thing was, so there's this scene where he gets stabbed by his best friend Henry. His scream was so fake that I was like, you look like you're just trying to yell at someone and not that you just got stabbed in the guts. Had written that down because I thought
While
it was
we're on the topic
stupid.
of screams, a lot of times when Mary Jane screamed, it just sounded so fake. I thought, okay, well at this point, why not just insert the Willem scream?
I wrote down, so the part where, I don't know the actor's name, but Flint, the Sandman guy, like the part that he becomes Sandman, I remember just being very confused about it in the theaters, and also just now, even though I just watched it recently, I'm like, you don't really understand what's happening and why he just disappeared and what this like experimental thing they have going on here, and why the sand, whenever it was spinning around him, affected his body like that. I know is a lot with these superhero movies, not just Spider-Man, but like Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and all that stuff. Like, you don't really understand how their bodies actually did get affected. You just see it and you're supposed to understand it. They don't really give you a chance to understand, and they don't really explain it, which I know is kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to explain that stuff. At the same time, I'm like, I need
I think some of it's also banking on, like, hopefully some people in the audience have read the comics.
Yes, a lot of people in the audience probably have read the comics.
But not everybody.
Bad acting all around.
Oh, the acting was terrible. Terrible. And they have really good actors in this movie.
Yes, everyone's fantastic.
I was most impressed.
Except for James.
By JJ.
Yeah. James J. Jameson was the only good thing about this movie. They did a fantastic job casting him. Like we've been saying, we've never seen the comics, but we've obviously seen pictures of the comics. We've seen pictures of how this man is supposed to look. And it looks like he just got printed out into person from the comics. The actor did a great job.
He actually acted.
He played the character very well. He voiced the character very well.
His facial expressions did not look like they belonged on a Broadway stage. They looked like they were for the camera.
Hoffman, the guy who he's in a meeting with J.J. Jameson, and he's hitting stuff on the board, and he's like, how, when, why, how, or whatever it was. That's Hoffman.
Wow and how.
Yeah, that. Hoffman, we said this, he looks like an older version of Toby, even though Toby's already older. He just looks like what Toby would look like in like 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
The fight scenes.
Oh my gosh.
Specifically, the train fight scene between Spider-Man and Sandman. I thought that was such a fake fight scene. Fight scenes are supposed to be like, oh my god, this fight's actually happening. Like, this actually happened in real life. No. It looks fake. It looks like, which they are trained to do it, but it looked like they were trained to be fighting like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
It looked a little too fake.
Yes.
Than it should have, I think. That's all I have to say on that. It just looked a little too fake. The Sims character, oh my gosh. So,
we need to reenact this. So, there's this scene.
He's standing behind Harry.
He's standing behind Harry, and he's just like...
I looked at Cam and I said, he looks like the standing man emoji. And then she turns to me and without even hesitating goes, he looks more like a Sim character.
Yeah. He's just there, and it looks like he's waiting to get his next control. He's just... This
is when he's been overtaken by Venom, the symbiote. His hair is so... Just can't express how awful the hairdo is.
Yeah, speaking of the symbiote, though, you mentioned this, but his teacher, Dr. Connors, was saying, oh, the symbiote amplifies characteristics of the host. Mm-hmm. So that means how Peter Parker was acting is how the true Peter Parker is just more amplified.
What I noticed is it really took a hold of his cockiness and multiplied it by like 1,000. And then from there, it took his anger over everything that had happened, and it multiplied that by like another 1,000. While we're on the topic of super cocky Spider-Man, the dance. And all of you know what dance I'm talking about.
It's become like another
the bully dance. Recently. I absolutely freaking hate that dance. And I don't think I could put into words just how much I hate this dance, but I hate this dance.
He looks so stupid.
Like a freaking idiot. I have no other words. The dance is stupid. The end.
The movie is so long.
Oh my gosh, this movie is...
It gets dragged on, and we read this review that literally was saying that, like, there's too many storylines, and there's too many plots, and too many characters, and I agree. There was 3 villains, and then it turned to 2 villains, and then Peter and Harry. Too many storylines, too much stuff going on.
There's too much going on in his relationship with MJ, too much going on in his relationship with Harry, too much with his job, there's too many villains, there's just too much going on for someone to be able to process in a 2-hour time frame.
Which is really weird, because I have seen movies where they have had that many storylines in it, and it's always done fairly well.
I think they just didn't do it well enough. They had so much information they wanted to include in this movie, but they just didn't do it well enough.
I wrote this down just because I was very confused about it. So this is towards the end of the movie where Peter is, like the whole scene with MJ and the webs, and he's trying to go to the fight scene, right? They have him just stand in front of a giant American flag for a minute. And I was just very confused about why that needed to be in there. Because, yes, he's supposed to, like, he's American. Obviously, this is set in New York, but I didn't really understand what they were trying to do with him just being in front of a giant American flag that just took off the entire back scene, and then it was him. I was just very confused by that. Eddie.
He becomes Venom. He
dies. But he was blaming his problems on Peter. His problem was he turned in a photoshopped photo, and then Peter, outed him for it. And so he blamed Peter that he was humiliated. I'm like, sir, even if Peter didn't do it right then and there, someone was going to bound to find out that, like, oh, that photo does not look right, and would have done the research and would have done the same thing and would have given it and be like,
he humiliated himself.
And
I understand it's part of the storyline, but
yes, but
common sense.
He again, cocky character. He just thought he was so full of himself, and he was such a hot shot photographer.
I feel like cockiness is a big thing in this movie.
Yeah,
all of the characters were very cocky. And finally,
we already talked about it, how they did just
they just did a terrible job
of putting it all together.
Putting this whole movie together. You have so many plots, and we've seen it done by other movies. You could have done better. This movie could have been better. We were so excited when we went to see this in the theaters.
Yes,
on the
because
big screen.
it's a superhero movie on theaters, especially one that, again,
it's Spider-Man.
We were 5 and 6 whenever this movie first came out in theaters, so we weren't really part of the Marvel universe yet, just because we really didn't know about it since we were so young. So being able to actually be like, oh my god, act like it's just came out, and we're like, we gotta go see this new cool Spider-Man movie. And then we did.
I've never been more disappointed by a Spider-Man movie. That's all we have for you today on this week's edition of Honest Opinions. We'll see you all next time.